Is there someone in your life that you want to give forgiveness to? Or how about yourself? Are you wanting to forgive yourself for something that you've done in your past? If that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. In today's video, we're going to talk about 4 steps to forgive yourself or forgive someone else. And when we're thinking about forgiveness, sometimes that can be really hard because when we think about forgiving someone, we're thinking, does that mean what they did to us is okay? Am I forgetting what happened? And forgiveness is allowing yourself to no longer hold that pain and to move forward with your life. And so a lot of times we really just need to start with forgiving ourselves. And so in today's video, we're going to talk about how we can forgive ourselves or forgive someone else that kind of comes to mind. My name is Alyssa Cotten. I do videos on mental health, self-help, and motivation. I would encourage you to subscribe because I send out videos every week, and that way you can get the latest information on my weekly videos. So when we're thinking about forgiveness, we have to start with asking ourselves, who do we want to forgive and for what for? So when we're thinking, maybe for this video, we'll just talk about forgiving ourselves. So maybe I want to forgive myself for maybe I did something that I regret, or maybe I've done something that I'm not proud of, right? So you can ask yourself who and what. What are those 2 things? Who do you want to forgive? Maybe you want to forgive your best friend for hurting your feelings, or maybe you want to forgive someone that you're in love with and they hurt you very deeply. Maybe they had an affair or they cheated on you, and maybe you want to ask yourself who and what. So when we're starting off this journey, we can ask ourselves who, we can say ourselves, or we can say someone else. So the second step for forgiveness is releasing those blocks or those barriers. So there's a reason that you haven't either forgiven yourself or forgiven the other person, and that might be because there's like a total barrier. That barrier of what is stopping me from healing. And so asking yourself, what are those barriers? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it regret? And then asking yourself, what can I do to release those blocks? How can I release that anger towards this ability to forgive them? How do I release this sadness? It doesn't mean you can't be sad about what happened. It doesn't mean you can't be angry, but it means that in this present moment, you're no longer going to hold on to that and have it interfere with your everyday life. So step 2 is releasing that block, releasing that barrier that's allowing you to heal and to grow from this self-forgiveness, which is a lot of self-compassion and empathy. Step 3 is asking yourself, what benefits will I get after I've forgiven this person or forgiven myself? Ask yourself, what benefits? How would I feel after I've forgiven them? What new lightness might I experience? Would I get a new sense of joy or happiness? Or what could happen in my relationship with this person if I forgive them? Or what happens to my relationship with myself if I start to forgive myself? And so when you're asking yourself for this step 3 of what could I benefit from this forgiveness, asking yourself, how could I grow and gain from allowing this step of healing and moving forward and releasing that barrier? And the last one is a commitment. So making a commitment to forgive yourself or to forgive someone else. So now we've talked about the ways, the benefits we could see, maybe the roadblocks that's preventing us, and who we want to forgive. And the last step is making that commitment to put yourself out there and to follow through the steps of forgiveness and saying, I'm choosing to move forward with my best friend or my loved ones or my family or even my work from what happened to me. So when we're looking at forgiveness, sometimes we get forgiveness confused with other things. So forgiveness is allowing yourself to give that awareness and understanding that you've been treated unfairly, whether you treated yourself unfairly or someone else has treated you unfairly, and giving yourself permission to move forward. Forgiveness is not judgment, it's not karma, it's not life's gonna get them, it's not saying excuses, it's not saying, well, they didn't know any better. Those those aren't actually forgiveness. That's just kind of making excuses. So forgiveness is actually this really intense awareness of that mind, body, spirit, of that whole holistic idea of saying, I am moving forward knowing that I've been treated unfairly, but I'm moving forward with compassion and maybe a little bit of understanding of what happened, so I can either forgive myself or forgive someone else. Another thing with forgiveness is time does not heal all wounds. So with forgiveness, we can't just wait 10 years and be like, oh, I forgave them. Forgiveness is a very active thing that we have to actually work on very actively, whether that's forgiving ourselves or forgiving someone else. And what happens if we don't forgive them, that's where we can see resentment and bitterness and kind of this overall negative tone, either towards other people or even towards ourselves. So when we're looking at these 4 steps, at the end of it, we can actually create like a little self-forgiveness declaration. And I'm going to say what it would look like. I want to forgive who and for what. So that is the first declaration. The second declaration, I now choose to release my feelings of anger, fear, bitterness, resentment, hatred, sadness, pain, and or misery. Benefits. I acknowledge that forgiving this situation will benefit me as I will feel happier, healthier, and more peaceful. Commitment. I commit myself to forgiving the person and I accept the peace and freedom which the forgiveness brings. So when we're looking at these 4 steps, at the end of it, we can actually create like a little self-forgiveness declaration. And I'm going to say what it would look like in regards to forgiving myself. So I want to forgive myself for not trying hard enough. I choose to release my feelings of bitterness and resentment. I acknowledge that forgiveness benefits me as I will be happier, healthier, and more peaceful. I commit to myself for forgiving myself and I accept the peace and freedom which the forgiveness will bring. And so with those 4 steps, we can create a little declaration. So as you've compiled your declaration there, those 4 different steps for forgiveness, ask yourself at the end of it, what is holding you back from following through, right? So maybe going back and looking at those potential barriers that's preventing you from forgiving, or maybe there's something going on in your everyday life that this other person or even yourself isn't changing. So when you're looking at forgiveness, ask yourself, what can I do to really have this freedom of forgiveness? So thank you so much for watching today's video. Hit that like button if you really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe. I release videos out every week, and have a great day.